that fan on.
Dude, you're late. We've been talking about it for like 5 minutes.
No, I know, but I moved it. I saw you move it and all that, but I was in the back room, so I couldn't talk.
Yeah,
So is it hot in your room?
I checked. Okay, from my view, you can't see it, and that's what Katie said.
Yeah, no, I saw you do all that, but I'm asking, is it hot in there?
Yeah, it's a little warm.
Okay.
Yeah, and the fan for Reuters is not responding anyway. So
Well, the we're in the show, but I don't hear music.
all righty, let's do it, Mr. Bryant.
All right, we're waiting for our intro to come in, and we're ready to go.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So you So you have been very busy. Well, actually, we both have been very busy, but you were very busy last month.
Yeah, the month of September was really a big month for me. I just couldn't catch up. We just couldn't catch up. One thing after another, one thing after another. It says that our show is live, but we each other on the screen. So we're just gonna keep on with it and see what happens. There you go. Hey, buddy.
There we are.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're not sure if our intro came on or not. Usually there's a song and a dance. So, we'll do the song and a dance for you. In the basement with McLemore, where the truth comes out. So, welcome. We've been missing. We missed you guys the whole month of September. We were like crazy busy. We had a few of our friends lost parents and relatives. I was
Yeah.
out of town. We want to dedicate today's show to Miss Lanita Richardson, a good friend of ours, mom, who passed away on last month, and along with Mandel Brown, who was a cousin of mine that
Mm-hmm.
passed the same month. So we were going to have a session called Good Grief, but there's like really nothing good about grief. It just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
I
yes,
think I think along with that, my mom told me years ago, one of our best friend, Dawn, her mom used to tell her when we were younger and our parents were going to funerals of friends and relatives, and we were like, "Oh my God, that's so terrible! Wow, another one, another one." And they both said to us as kids, "Wait till you get our age, people are gonna start dropping like flies." And of course, at that time, you're like,
right,
"Nah." But here it is at 60 or almost 60, and
yeah,
oh God, it's happening. It's
and
happening, and it's the circle of life, and it makes sense. We're
yeah,
60, our parents, our aunts and uncles, so that would mean that they're at least 70 to 90,
yeah, right.
and that's what's going to happen. Doesn't
That's it.
help that you know that it's going to happen. You're always going to feel bad. They're loved.
Yeah,
They're our loved ones. We love them. They're going to leave holes in our hearts,
yeah,
but we send them off the most respectfully, the most honorably way that we possibly can. Take
yeah,
care of the folks that they left behind, and hope for the best for our future.
yeah. I think that's very well said. It's really interesting that we even take, just on that same vein, it's always the same gender loving ones that sort of bridge the gap every time, and we create that communication. A lot of times people have not spoken to loved ones since they passed away, or haven't talked to, family members in a long time because of the death. And so it's usually us that are the gatekeepers that try to pull that together. When there's discord, we're
Yeah.
gonna hold hands and get them all prayed up and try to keep them back in the know. So Yes, our condolences. We have such an amazing show for you today. Steve, you and I didn't talk about, we really haven't touched on the issues of Ukraine and the violence that's going around the world. We sort of skim over it because you get to the point to where it's like so much. We got the
Hmm.
carjackings in Chicago and the uncensored violence and execution style murders just over domestic, concerns. And then we never really even get out of our little circle of the planet to get to,
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Hmm. Now, over here, in regards to the Ukraine, in the news here, paper and media, it has been very, very quiet on the Ukraine front. And I'm wondering, is it like that in Central America?
Uh,
I really have not heard very much.
well, now
Is
it's
that
sort of like,
good or is that bad?
I don't know. I mean, so it's like an ongoing thing. I mean, like, they reported about, lots of people being killed, children. Now they're talking about assassin drones that I heard on the radio that are being supplied by Iraq. And I believe it's
Hmm.
against some treaty that they were not supposed to do that, and goes against whatever is whatever. So I don't know. I can't get past 47th Street carjackings to get to, and I feel really bad for the Ukrainians, but we have so much right here to deal with on our own that we can't even get to, what else is going on. So before I move
It's
on,
ridiculous.
yeah, it's ridiculous. So, guys, we're doing our own commercials today. So we know we have, Dr. Eunice Sanders is going to be on the show. She's probably in the back room. But before I did that, I had a little bit of a spoof, and I'll let Steve, take over where I lend out. So, today's show is also brought to you by the travel industry, ladies and gentlemen. Go visit Las Vegas. It's amazing. At the Wynn Hotel right here in sunny Las Vegas. This commercial was made for prostitutes on the strip, the Las Vegas strip. So to Las Vegas, Nevada. And furthermore, today's show was also brought to you by Nature's Conservatory, where we're really concerned about our little furry friends and our animals. Please donate to the Nature's Conservatory. They're really in need to help out stranded seals, animals, wounded pets, that type of thing. Nature's Conservatory. We really want to care about all of our animals. And then, is my face really big now?
Did you throw did you throw the poor animal away after you just said please save their lives?
Oh, he was biting me. So, and then today's show, but by one of our longtime sponsors, Michael Angelo. He was one of the first artists on our show. So we want to give a little pay a little homage to Michael Angelo for supplying the artwork for today's show. And if you want to get this, oh, I'm sorry, I mean Shane Jahai Art. My bad, not Michelangelo. Shane Jahai Art. Show is brought to you by Shane Jahai Hart. And last, for those of you that go to church and that loves the Lord, oh yes, he heard my cry. Today we're being sponsored as well by Unity Christian Tabernacle Church of the Jehovah Witness Pentecostal Faith. And so we want to just give them an amen for sponsoring the show. And most likely, Mr. Brown and the Red Hat Society, of course, is the last on our list of sponsors for today's show are the ladies from the Red Hat Society. And then later on, we'll start to mention some of our real sponsors from the Red Hat Society. Thank you guys for.
Wow. Let's give a hand for our sponsors who have helped us stay on the air for all of these months except for this month. And yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant, for all of those reenactments of 1617 sponsors that help get the show and keep it on the air.
Yes, thank you very much.
Especially Michelangelo.
My longtime dead friend, Michelangelo. So
donations from the grave.
yes, I want to thank also I Am 90 Million, who's an up and coming model and an actress. She's my good friend Tijuana's daughter. You guys can find her on Instagram. I Am 90 Million. Looking for those models in the house. But without further ado, Steve, who do we have waiting in the wings today? It's in the basement with Matt.
Let's see. I to bring to the forefront a Mr. Jermaine Bell. He's a same gender loving activist. He's currently at an H in political. Mr. Jermaine, thank you for coming, and we wait for your appearance.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Jermaine, you're representing.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Jermaine. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, and yeah, I have my flag in the background, just as a little nod.
That's amazing. Tell me what school you're at. I know you're at HBCU.
Yeah, I go to an HBCU, Lincoln University in Missouri. It's one of the earliest HBCUs to be established, so I really pride myself on that.
Good for you. How is it there? Like the atmosphere, like
the atmosphere is it's unique. It is. It's definitely like, it was great to get out and go and try something new, because I knew for college I wanted to go somewhere out of state to expose myself to new experiences.
Be honest.
So, it's been ups and downs, if I had to be completely honest. It has been lots of ups, especially as a new college student. But there's been the downs as well of being an openly queer person on campus.
Yeah. What are some of those? Have you been harassed or anything like that? Do I need to? Because me and Uncle Steve will ante up, baby. We will roll down the campus.
Thankfully, I haven't experienced much direct harassment.
We're from Chicago.
Thankfully, I haven't experienced much direct harassment or anything like that. It's just overall just the keeping, watch on my own back, stuff like that, finding spaces that, you feel comfortable in. And especially since I used to have bright pink hair as well, made me a bit of a spectacle on campus, to say the least.
Yeah, I remember when I met you, I think you had pink hair.
Yeah, I actually recently cut it off just last Wednesday. Decided, I wanted to try something new. And if I'll be honest, I messed up my hair a little bit. And I was like, might as well start over.
Well, it looks really good.
Thank you.
Your mother's a casting director. Is it Cassandra? Cassandra Bell. I remember she's an amazingly beautiful woman. You remind me, not of the womanhood, but you remind me of her. You've got a very unceilinged personality, which I loved about you when I first met you. And I wanted to keep my promise when I said I was going to have you on the show, because I wanted to sort of bridge the gap. Steve and I have been on this thing for quite some time. So, we're riding that bus that's, there was a bus that came directly out of the closet. And it took a long time to get out. And, we're like chugging along. So to get to you, to get to your generation, I'm so very proud of being out, you being open, you being openly queer, same gender loving, whatever the titles are. There's a bunch of them. So
yes,
politically incorrect. Just straighten me out as quick as you can. Do you have a same gender loving support system there? Are there other guys there that you hooked up with, or girls?
I've actually a part of the Pride Club at Lincoln, which was established last year. So I'm involved in that space. So I have people, allies, and other queer people on campus that I've been able to connect to with there. And then outside of that, I just have, a couple casual queer friends here and there. So I would say that I have a pretty decent support system.
Good. I'm so proud of you. Tell me what. Tell me what thing. Steve, do you have a question?
Yeah, if you don't mind. It was kind of piggybacking on your the SGL, gay, etc. So, if you don't mind, Jermaine, do you designate yourself under some of these new monikers, non-binary, binary, cis, non-cis?
Uh,
How do you go by they, them, he, him?
I go by mainly he, but any pronouns work for me. I'm not bothered by being called by any pronouns referred to as. I am cisgendered. I identify as cisgendered, which means I identify most with the sex that I was born with, but I don't mind being referred to as she or they or anything like that. So I'm a little more fluid when it comes to that, but mainly I see myself mostly as mask presenting.
Do you? What do you think about the Steve? I saw your mouth moving. I keep thinking Steve was going to say something, and then
I
he just
think
delayed on that coast where you're at. Steve's in New Jersey.
I think I'm
Oh,
delayed. Yeah, I think it's delayed. I'm so sorry about that, but it's technology. No, go ahead, Bryant.
No. I was just going to say to Jermaine, there are a lot of things that I don't necessarily like about categories. You
mm,
know, back in the day when we came out but weren't out, we had our private little spaces that we went to together, and that was sacred space. And then we went back out and changed clothes sometimes, even took off our gayness or our weirdness, changed clothes and went, ended up back home or going to church that morning or whatever. Um, the categories. We fought sort of to get out of the box instead of somebody saying to me, "This is my gay friend. This is my friend. This is my gay uncle. This is my uncle. This is my gay son. This is my son." So me, I have a little bit of a problem with the categories because I feel like I spend it. I spent most of my life trying to get out of the box, and then we come along with this movement that has a whole bunch of boxes, like to put it. And so, like, what if I want to get out of the, the G box and get into the B box? And what if today I don't feel like that the T box or the B box? You know what I'm saying? So,
yes.
feel about those rigid categories that we're trying to fit in and get out of.
I think that labels both serve the purpose of being helpful and also a bit more stressful because I know for me and a lot of my queer friends, a lot of people change throughout the course of their lives. A lot of people, they evolve and they grow, and sometimes it's hard to fit yourself into a box. Because I just said that I'm cisgender, which means I identify as male, but I also just said that I go by any pronouns, which would typically mean that I'll be more gender fluid, which I also don't mind. But you see how the kind of cross of labels can kind of get confusing a bit.
Yeah,
And I appreciate labels in the fact that they give people something to, better, label themselves, understand themselves. But I
yeah,
think when a lot of people try too hard to fit in the labels, they can feel very restricting, like you mentioned, and it
yeah,
can feel very objectifying as well because once you take on so many of these labels and that starts to become who you are instead of someone looking at your person directly. And I always try to keep the value of looking at people for their person.
yeah.
So I think the labels kind of go twofold in a way of how they're beneficial and harmful in the same way. But I think that that they exist for a reason. I do think that people generally need to be more respectful when it comes to labels because sometimes people need to be able to respect a person's label, and sometimes people need to be able to close their mouth respectfully and not leave that information out for everybody because not everybody's going to be respectful of that.
Right.
So I think that it's a twofold, two sides of the same coin situation in a way. I think that they're necessary and hopeful, but I think they can be harmful, and people need to kind of understand more of them.
Yeah. What a great answer. I'm so excited about because I can see into your future that you are very well versed and
Thank you.
going to be an asset to all of our communities. Steve, you had something.
Mhm.
Hey, Steve.
I'm very Jermaine. Jermaine, you answered that perfectly. I'm glad to hear that from somebody young who understands that there's kind of I don't use this word, conflict a little bit within the mind. So I'm in public health, and what we have been presented in the last couple of years to when we're counseling patients is to first offer the open up our interviews with, hi, my name is Steve. I'm with New Jersey Department of Public Health. I'm here to do blah, blah, blah. Please tell me how you like me to refer to you. And after 20 years, name Sandra Smith, Donald Johnson. And if you present as different from that, I'm still going to say Donald Johnson because that's what's on the paper, as opposed to the transgender person in front of me may want to be called Darlene. And I do like asking that question because I don't want to be called out of my name. No one wants to be called out of their name.
Exactly.
But I think what we also deal with is this militant attitude, like, don't call me so and so. I'm they, them, so and so. But, ma'am or person, how would I know that? How can you fault me for not knowing how you want to be called before we even start talking? If you're presenting to yourself, presenting to me in wig makeup, I'm going to say automatically, respectfully, ma'am, how can I help you? Or I don't think I should be attacked because you want to be known as Donald, but you're presenting Darlene to me. Yeah. And so it's very interesting and challenging trying to communicate, because you always want to communicate to people at their level and be respectful. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. But I love the way they responded, and so you gave me kind of both sides of how both sides are dealing with it. Thank you.
Let me ask you something. So have you did you have a come out story? And I know you and I had a little bit of a talk about your father, which all of us have, the father talks or the stepfather talk or the grandfather talk. What's your come out story? And give me a little bit of that conversation we had about your dad and you confronting whatever his issue was.
So I believe that I was about 14 roughly when I came out, ages are little. And I remember being in high school, and I originally did come out as bisexual. I didn't know I was gay, but I felt like if I came out bisexual, a lot of young queer people share the experience. They feel like if they come out as bisexual, the parents will be more accepting.
Yeah.
And I believe that in my family, I was one of the first openly queer people that I know of in my immediate family that actually had like a coming out in my age. So it was I won't lie, it was very rough experience at first, especially with my father and coming together, because I remember when I was young, one of the things that that impacted me when I was young was that I had an experience where I was in martial arts training and I had a bad day. My dad was like, he was going at me. He was like, "What were you thinking about?" Da, da, da. And I was like, "I don't know, SpongeBob." And he was like, "SpongeBob is gay." And I'm like, "What's gay?" I'm like a kid. I'm like 8, maybe 9. Right. I was like, "What's gay?" And he was like, I don't even remember what he said, but I remember going home and my mom had a computer and I remember looking it up. And I was like, I put gay into YouTube and I just watched the first video and it was like some old SNL gay Hulk parody. And I always remember this. And I was like, I didn't know what I was looking at. I just thought it was funny. I was just laughing at it. And I remember getting in trouble that same day because my parents went through the history. And I remember getting in trouble. And my dad was one of the things he said was to me is, "You're not my son if you're going to be gay," or something along those lines.
Wow.
And that was one of the first. And when I was a kid, I'm like, I don't even know What you talking about, man? I don't even
know what you're talking about. I don't know what gay is.
Right.
Like,
I don't even know what gay is. Like, you put this on to me.
right.
And my mom, being involved in theater, had worked with gay people and everything for, so I always had them around me. And like looking back on it, seeing like as a queer person now, I always get like very much. A lot of people say like, "Oh, you choose to be," like, no, I was always gay. I've had family members tell me I was always gay. Like I could look back and say that I was always, but now when I got older, when I did come out, it was definitely a transitional period. There was a lot of drama, a lot of back and forth between different sides of my family. But at the end of the day, I always had the mindset of like, I'm not gonna stop being queer. That's just not gonna happen. That's not going to go away. That's not something you can just pray away or try to force out. That's not gonna go away.
Yeah,
so
question was, did they stick you in the church?
Yeah, I actually did have a couple of experiences with my family regarding church because we did grow up religious. I was a part of, we grew up a Baptist. So there was a couple more visits to the church. I did have an experience at a church where I was actually kind of set up, to say it in the frankest terms, and prayers for good grades in school turned into prayers for let the homosexual demons out of his body. Yeah, an experience.
Yeah, and somebody's in
the homosexual demons.
Right, he has a feeling that he's homosexual, and that's something I also will never forget. But I'll spare the full details of the story. And yeah, so it was definitely a transitional period. But at the end of the day, I always knew like at a certain point, I remember I was upset, but at a certain point, I remember crying and like crying for like hours, and I was just sat there and I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm not doing anything wrong.
Right.
I'm not doing anything that's objectively wrong. I'm not doing anything else outside of my character. So I remember from that point on, I was like, I'm not gonna keep feeling bad for myself because I'm gay, because I know at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with who I am and what I am. And I knew at the side of that moment, either he's gonna have to accept me or he's not gonna hear from me. And I think after it definitely took a couple years, and we're still working on it to this day. He's come around better because he eventually did learn that it was either having his son in his life or not. It's regarding accepting me. So it took a lot of conversations. It took a lot of back and forth. It took a lot of a lot of sleepless nights, crying, and all that stuff. But we're at a point now where he's become a bit more tolerant of me. My mom has been more of a support system, even though we've had our bouts. She's been more of a support system for me. And my sister as well, who's also queer, who actually came up before I did. We always make jokes that my mom carried the gay gene because me and my mom both come from. Me and my sister both come from our mom, but it was definitely a transitional period, and I do think that. Not all parents, not all family is blood, but the family that does care and does love you, they will try to put that foot forward. And, forgiveness is something that you have to earn, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I have forgiven my father for some, not all, but I will make sure I will never forget at the end of the day, because I can't. That's a part of my experience now. And I will continue to, keep working on our relationship with him. It's gotten much better since I was younger. But at the end of the day, I made sure I was never going to continue to apologize for being queer.
And you know what? Get hands up for here. Guess what you have? You have two uncles right here on this show in the basement with McLemore. You got Uncle Steve and you got. And you can call us if you got a problem, you want to talk, you need to come spend the night, and we eat ice cream. That's what this community is, and and I love you so much for being so forth with your conviction. You're convicted to be who you are, and it is a struggle. It is a struggle. But you're ahead of the game, buddy, because you're articulate, intelligent, and I see you've got a sense of fashion.
Thank you.
Uncle Steve, what you got?
I like the black and white. I like the black and white. And how listening now that I know that your sister is also queer, maybe that probably added to your father's I don't
You,
attitude, because
yeah,
to have two, that's a lot. It is a lot for
yeah,
Yeah.
obviously for a man who thinks the way he does. I'm sure that was a little overwhelming for him.
Yeah, my sister,
Mm.
she's my half sister. I mean, I just say sister, but she was born to a different. My father is not her father. Is what I'm trying to say. And so she came from my mom, and they have a much better relationship now, but they had a very rocky relationship when they were younger. Both my sister and my mom. It was rockier when we were younger. So I think more since I was also his own blood, that added to it, and that also it made it worse, but it also made it better because he was like he does have a better relationship with both of us in our older age, especially my sister. But I do think that might have also added to the stress of like being also his own blood and the other both of them being queer, even though because I think a lot of people have like the assumption also like, oh, like queer people will be the end of our bloodline and all this other stuff that's way out of the way. And it's like listen, I'm 19, I'm not thinking about children, but
right.
stuff like that, like so I do think that there was a lot of just assumptions and just stigma that he had of his own trauma and experiences that he's told me about and stuff like that that he had that we had to work through and have conversations about. And I also somewhat appreciate what I went through because I think having to have those conversations so young added to um, the intelligence and emotional intelligence that I have now, because these are conversations and battles that I had when I was 15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
So being at 19 now and having the emotional intelligence that I have and having the conversationalist and being able to explain and um, I'm trying to find a basically like my dialect as a whole and have being able to be the being able to explain myself so well came from these experiences being so young and having to talk with these about through legitimate adults.
Have you ever considered writing a book? Because I think that your
Mhm.
generation needs to have that, and you had conversations that I may never have had. So
Mm,
our struggle, we had our struggles were more silent. You know, we struggled within. There were internal struggles where somebody may somebody may assume this or that about you, but you were constantly keeping up this facade, and that
mm,
internal struggle, on top of the religious struggle, on top of the parental, constraints that said what they weren't going to have and what they weren't going to do, and blah 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 blah. So I'm very very proud of you, and like I said, you have gained two uncles, and then I have a whole bunch more to add to your plate when it comes to the support system. Now, before we bring on our next guest, tell me what your major is going to be and why you chose it.
I actually am majoring in psychology currently. I do plan to take on either a political science or education major for different reasons for all three. Psychology, mainly because I feel like I'm a very emotionally intelligent person because I went through a lot of emotionally intense experiences. And I've always found myself to be more of a comforting and someone that people tend to feel comfortable talking with and telling things with. And I figured that that and also I wanted to understand more of the psychology of myself and my mindset and understanding my experiences and how that affected me, and having to do a lot of that as a child kind of put that into my being. So I figured that it was either going to be psychology or film, and I decided that I could do psychology and have that major, and I could do film later down the line as a hobby, what I mean, as something on the side, since film is a relatively messy business to get into. So
Yeah.
I decided to do psychology, and I hope plan to one day, go through these years of school and then one day return to get a PhD. But I also am planning to take on a major in either political science or education because I'm very politically active. I'm very involved with mainly human rights and humanity rights, in the world. Economics kind of goes over my head a little bit because I'm not the best with numbers. But I've always had more of an interest in being very politically active, very politically outspoken. And so political science is an interest of mine, and education, because I figured it would be something to help, in the meantime of going through the psychology degree, I could have education as a backup, be a psychology teacher, make some money until I get that PhD.
You know what? You are on the right track, my brother. As a matter of fact, we need you. We need you. We need you. And I saw through that when I first met you. I think you were going through something that day, and I didn't know. In my spirit was something else was going on with you, and I was drawn to your personality and your presence, and that's why I said what I said to you. And and so I want to have you back on the show. We're gonna think about getting a little spot, share the show with your friends on YouTube and give you your little neck of the woods. What do you think? I think
that would be great. I would love to do that. I'm a very clearly opinionated person, so talking about anything, I would love the excuse to put my opinions out there in the world, especially coming from a young queer Black person's perspective. And
yeah, I like that. Steve, what do you think? I think
you could bring in a younger demographic.
Yes, you can bring that number. So we're going to talk about that. I don't want you to go anywhere, but I want to for being on the show. We want you to hang around to the end, and let's talk about.
Thank you, brother.
I know our listeners and our viewers. You can go to YouTube after this. You are watching. Oh, I'm supposed to do this commercial. You're watching In the Basement with McLemore, and I am your host, Bryant, with my illustrious co-host Stephen Dunnigan. And you just have finished listening to our guest, Jermaine Bell. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Maceo Photo. If you guys need to get your pictures taken, you contact Maceo Photo, Mr. James Washington. The show is also sponsored by the Armor Group with Miss Regina Armor. They sponsored our show since the beginning. And we've got Dr. Eunice Sanders, the foundress of Eunice Oil Products. It says it all, and Eunice is going to be coming on next. And I want to say hello to my Doty brothers, my fraternity of same-gender loving men, of which I'm a proud member. I crossed in July 2022, so I'm really excited to be a member of such an amazing organization. And Jermaine, I think that you're runner-up to join us, brother. So, without further ado, you guys, hey, Lori. Lori's watched all of our says, hey, guys, great show.
Hey, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Show. And Lori's show is also on, it can be found on Rhythm Flow Radio as well. We're going to bring on our next guest to talk about the Chicago Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Eunice Sanders. Is Eunice in the back? So until Katie hears us, we're like, Jermaine, that's when we do stuff like this. And give to see if Katie's gonna bring on you.
Jermaine,
go ahead, Steve.
Jermaine, I just wanted to say that I'm so glad that you have worked on developing your emotional intelligence, having gone through what you went through with your dad, and then also with the church. And those are the two largest triggers for young gay, bisexual, same gender loving folks when they're in their teens, times even younger than teens, up through 20s, and cause you to run back in the proverbial closet or act out in ways. Because me personally, I have been very lucky. Pretty much three major churches that I've gone through in my life, I have not had pastors that said the homosexual demon is a horrible thing and protect your kids and so and so and so and so. I have been so fortunate to have pastors that either they didn't address it, or when they brought it up, it was like, You know what, guys? Whatever you want to talk about them, sinners, non-sinners, horrible, whatever. God loves everybody. We're all here put on this earth by God.
Yes.
All of us are of His making, and He watches over all of us. So for
Yeah.
you to condemn a gay person, but not condemn your brother who is an adulterer, a thief, and a drug addict, that's not right. So look at yourself first. I'm so grateful for that. For my spiritual life has been led by leaders who had a very open mind, and I'm so glad that and grateful that you uh, managed your obstacles and came out on top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, because that's a navigating. Miss Eunice is not in the background, so we can keep on until we get to Kahleel. Our navigational process was a little bit different. I wrote a book about same-sex abuse called Love, Blood, and Minds. So I want to make sure that you get a copy
I'll
so
be
that.
right there. I'll be right back, guys.
But the thing is, there's so many things on the table for your generation and my generation. There's a bunch of stuff. Religion and the concept of religion were part of my diaspora of what happened to me. But a lot of times they're right there in the church are getting molested. I mean, you look at the Catholic Church, you look at all the priests being brought up. I just recently found out that Father Flager here at Saint Sabina, somebody bringing up some more charges on him, and it's just like, oh my God, it just goes
Mm.
on and on and on and on and on. But the good thing about it is well, there's no good thing, but to get to the other side of it and still have your mind, and still not flip out on drugs and still not act out. A lot of the stuff that happens to young people, they end up, running away or getting thrown out. They end up with the street life. They get with people and they calling a man a mom. The sex and the drugs survive, and just without that support system, it could be a horrible, horrible situation. So you even know people that
Yeah.
it just turned out good for them.
Yeah, I definitely am very privileged to have not, because I know a lot of young queer people are thrown onto the streets every day. I see it on my social media and everything. A lot of queer people are thrown out by their parents, have to force to the streets, have to find, ways to sustain themselves. And I'm very lucky to have not gone through that. You know, um, my heart is genuinely out there for all the queer people that have suffered through those experiences and have lost their families just because of their identities. And I definitely think that there's a lot of hypocrisy that exists in the church, especially for someone who grew up,
A
Baptist and
lot.
that experience and seeing, especially also in the church and in the family, and not even just from a queer perspective, but also from a Black perspective, the
Yeah.
hypocrisy in the church is that could be a whole conversation on.
It's you know what, and the thing
Oh
is
yes,
and I don't
yes.
want to say all churches, but the church has really failed us. It's failed us as Black people as well. I mean, you
Mm.
people that go to the church 1,000 years and they get burnt out or they need a few dollars, and the church doesn't do anything to help them. And then the church should have everything. It should have mental health counselors. It should have places for you to stay if you're youth and you're homeless. Clothing. It should have
Mm.
food. It should have its own banking and resources in order to assist, the not just same gender loving people, but the people that go to the church, the people that are
Period.
guys, and the people that are buying the pastor a new car. That system is antiquated. It's old. It's antiquated, and it's retired. It's keep
No,
antiquated. And it's retired.
Because a lot of
one
people.
of the most glaring, horribly glaring issues or outlooks in our path is the Black churches, period. But since we're all Black, the African American churches and their how they addressed the HIV epidemic was, oh God, that was terrible.
It was
That was
deep.
just terrible.
It was deplorable. Even I've been at churches where the pastor said that it was a curse from God. It was the
Mm.
homosexual curse and that it was a curse from God. And you know, you go through the Bible and you're like, oh, so God is still coming up with new curses that you guys didn't like that weren't documented before. There's some new ones that he's doing. And when he did it, he only told you that it was a curse so that you be the voice to say, you know, the interpretation. What you think is horrible. So, Steve, do we got a Kahleel run out on us? Are we ready for our?
Are we ready?
Yeah, dude, we're ready.
You guys ready? Yeah. Okay. So sorry that Dr. Eunice, I want to hear her voice. I like Miss Eunice. We're sending love and light to you, Dr. Eunice. Hope
Yes,
all
sir.
is well. Before I want to introduce one of my closest friends, Kahleel Funkboy Mason. He's from Philadelphia. He is the brother of Steve Mason, and collectively they are known as the Funkboys Mason. They both have been DJing for over 30 years in and around Philadelphia. Kahleel and I have, as of last year, we had me, him, and his lovely wife, Ashley, had our little group together. And Jackie, whoops, hey, Jackie, had a little group together, and we were in parties last year at the Arbors Hall in Philadelphia. He is what they call a true, as myself, a true house head. He was there for the beginning of house music in New York, in Philly, as I was in Chicago with Frankie Knuckles, who came from New York. And we were there for the beginning, and we're just die-hard house music lovers. He has been kind enough to me, one of his sessions from last week that I thought was fantastic. He can be found on Facebook, Kahleel Mason, or Kahleel Funkboy Mason. And he also has a spot on Monday nights from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So for Central Standard Time, it would be 5 to 7 on Twitch, the app Twitch. And he is there playing for Face the Bass Records. So without further ado, here is a new session from Mr. Kahleel Funkboy Mason.
Yes.
I'm going to present the screen.
My iPad may go dead during the session, so I want to make sure that everybody knows that. Thank you so much for tuning in to In the Basement with McLemore. We missed you. I know you guys are going to comment on Jermaine. He's an amazing young guy. He's our little brother of the show In the Basement where the truth comes out. So we're going to tell truths on this show, baby. And if y'all got some comments, you got some questions, just send a chat in to us. Without further ado, let's listen to Kahleel Funkboy Mason in the house. Hit it, Steve.
I'm going to turn it on. I'm trying to. Boy, I tell you, StreamYard is really. Okay, here we go.
Wait, Jermaine, it's like, you know, we're already old. Don't make us seem old when our StreamYard is like jumping around, you know. And I told you how we were walking through. In a minute, I'll be like this.
Yeah, I had a couple problems here on my own side. It's not just I understand.
Come on.
Wait a minute. Once he gets started, are you dating, Jermaine?
No, not currently.
Okay, I'm gonna have somebody for you.
Okay, you see? What are you seeing?
We don't see anything. We just see you.
Do you guys see Face the Bass?
Please
sharing. Allegedly, it says sharing.
Yeah,
you're supposed to be seeing Face the Bass.
We see it. Turn it up.
Okay.
Oh, I don't hear it. It won't stay playing.
This is based on Face Records.
Wow. It doesn't want to do it. Steve, you look frozen too. I think you're both frozen. Jermaine, frozen, are you?
No. Am I okay?
No, I think Steve. I think
Uh,
I think Steve went to Antarctica. He's like literally Angelica. What's up those frozen dolls' names?
um,
Whatever their names are, they're very popular. But I'd have to call my niece to ask them what their names are. I think
Elsa, the characters from Frozen.
yeah.
There we go. The Elsa and Anna.
There you go. That's what Steve is.
Yeah, he's Frozen for me too.
So maybe we'll just hold on a minute. We got a few more minutes to see
Okay.
what happens. We'll keep chatting. Who do you listen to when it comes to music? Like, who are your faves?
I actually have like a really I have the mindset of music just like if I like it, I like it. So I listen to like all genres. So like my playlist will go from like anything from like pop to like hip hop. There's like some metal songs in there. There's like some forward songs in there. I have a lot of I think my like some of my favorite artists like as a whole are like Lil Nas X. I really really like Lil Nas X. Doja Cat, they're both kind of like my main two pop artists. I really like Cupcake for rap. I also really like, um, I think some of my other favorites are Isaac Dunbar, who's like more of an underground indie artist, Mitski. Yeah, there's a lot. I have a lot of favorite. I don't have a lot of favorites when it
Gonna
comes
have
to music.
to be up on like I only heard Cupcake because she cusses and she rap.
She has a lot of like old like meme songs that were like hypersexual.
Yeah,
But she actually does make like a lot of like regular music, and her regular rap is really insane. She's also from Chicago, so I saw her at um Pride this summer, and I got to see her live, and that was amazing. That was so fun, and I've been a big fan of her music as a whole for a long time. But
yeah,
she's most known for like her hypersexual songs.
yeah. You're gonna have to turn me on. So we had a show when we talked about Lil Nas X. The
Mhm.
video that was so controversial with him sleeping with the devil and blah 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 blah. And it was just all of his production was amazing. So for people to be mad at a production, everybody has done these type of productions and like
Right.
spent billions of dollars. His presentation was great. You listen to the song, you listen to the words. If you can get past the image, and you shouldn't even have to get past the image. These are people that watch scary movies. Like, what is wrong with y'all?
I I I personally really love Lil Nas X because his message, especially during that era, especially with the Montero video, I completely understood because it's exactly my experience as a young queer person, like
Yeah,
taking all of those like religious um, views and like those religious imageries, and then like seeing all of that growing up as a religious young queer person, since that's put on to you, and then just taking that and just like basically throwing up a huge middle finger to it and just embracing it, even though I obviously it was like a marketing tactic to get people to talk about health because that's the point. It was supposed to get people to talk and to do exactly the thing that he was parodying. People are out here calling him a devil worshiper and calling him all these things, and that's exactly what he's making fun of because those are the things he heard growing up as a young queer Black person in the church. So I understood it when I saw it immediately. It immediately like became one of my favorite artists. I love his entire album too. I wish I could have seen him in concert because he's touring right now. I really wish I could have seen him, but I love him because I completely understand his career, and I feel like if I was a musical artist, I would be Little Nas X.
yeah, and that would and so it's funny that you said that because when Prince came out, I get my church like banned. They didn't want us to listen to Prince, and I was an avid Prince fan. Like for
Mhm.
Prince's first album was called Soft and Wet. And I was probably about 16, and I went to the first concert for $2.15.
If
And
only concerts still cost the same.
and I think it was $2.14 because it was Valentine's Day. So he did a concert, did a tour, and it was 214 Valentine's Day, and the concert was Soft and Wet. But I was a Prince fan. I mean, from the time that I had like baggies, I was making my own clothes, designing my own clothes. So I was you on steroids in high school. I wore my own designs to high school. Everybody assumed whatever they assumed about me, but I was not disrespected. It was just an unspoken truth about me. But it was the same thing with Prince. Turn that off. That you're going to hell. What is that? And he's like, don't even get to 1999 or the songs that Prince did. So he was my little Nas. So I get it. Like, I felt, most of the when Doves Cry came out, I was in that same space. There, that,
It is.
Y'all been hearing the music?
no,
Been hearing music?
no, we couldn't.
It's been shared. It shows to me that I'm sharing this whole time.
No, we
It's acting really fun, and I'm so sorry, guys.
That's all right. You were frozen again, Jermaine. Chatting, and you're frozen again, Angelica. We got 5 minutes, Steve, so come back. Can't hear it.
Oh, I understand.
I guess I'll
What about now?
We can hear it,
We can hear it. Most definitely.
but it just disappeared again, Steve. Now it's gone.
Oh.
So, with that being said, we have just a couple of more minutes. We have like 4 minutes. We have 4 minutes left of the show, and my power is at 4%. It's never ever been that low. Jermaine, you must have talked my power out of my eyes. It's like 4%. So we'll do advertisements again. I want to thank you guys all for being in the basement with McLemore. And Steve is calling me. So hold on just a minute. Let's see what he's saying. Hold on, Steve. I hung up on him. I don't know what happened. So all of this is going great, and we don't know what happened, but I don't take myself too seriously. We do what we want on In the Basement with Macklemore, and we'll see you guys next month. We've got some really big stuff coming up for next month's show. Again, I want to thank my Doty brothers. I want to thank the Paz Conservatory, and I might be calling it wrong, but anyway, I'm going to be doing a seminar in Dallas for it's like a Paz convention, so I'll be there. You guys look forward to getting my book, Love, Blood, and Rhinestones. If you haven't picked it up, hang up right now. Go to lovebloodrhinestones.com. Buy it from my website, or you can get it on Amazon. We're also going to be offering samples of In the Basement with Macklemore, the song. You guys will be able to donate to the show for $5, and you'll receive a autographed little CD. I don't know if they're still doing it, but we want to do like CDs. We want to do, even if you don't have anything to play, because I don't want to do those what do they call those, Jermaine, where you have to like buy the song?
You mean like iTunes?
Yeah, no, like let's say you want
Here.
you buy it online now.
Yeah, iTunes. You purchase that on iTunes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't want that. I want you to have. Steve. We can get this.
Bryant, can you hear or see me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Do you hear the music in the background?
We hear the music.
I don't know. I so apologize, Mr. Bell.
Not your fault. It's not your fault. I got 3.
StreamYard is just, I don't know. Well, we will continue to do what we can do to fine tune it because it's fantastic. So,
Well, we'll work it out next time. We got one person. Jermaine, thank you so much. We hope that you'll come back and hang out with us.
I will happily come back. It was so nice. It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Jermaine.
No problem.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our show. Thank you for tuning in today. Right. Co-host Bell, and was amazing. You guys go to Rhythm Flow YouTube.
Thank you, Jermaine.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you guys later. Until next month. Bye now.
Bye.
Have a good night, everybody, for tuning in. Love you. All right. Bye-bye.